Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dorian Wallace with Madari Music and with my partner in Justice, DeMarisa Steely.
Peace, guys. Peace. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, and today we have with us very, very cool guest. This is Spiritchild, who is an MC and a revolutionary thinker, a fellow worker within the carceral system, providing and serving music for the folks who are detained. And I guess actually to start it off, I met you, Spirit, years ago at the Fred Ho Memorial. And I never met Fred, but I'm really good friends with his protege, Marie. And I'm a huge, musically, Fred influenced me on, I think, every level, but also his just political brilliance and just everything about him. And so that was actually the first time I ever met you was you were emceeing that event. And then, years later, we still know each other. So it's cool. But yeah, I'll pass it to you.
Right on. Yeah. Thanks for that. Eva, I shared to our sensei, Fred Ho. There's no better place to start than there, right? I think Fred, I was one of his last students as far as politics is concerned. I trained under him, and he had a brilliant formation called Scientific Soul Sessions, which fused culture, science, soul, art, and as well as politics. And he had a very specific way of reading the world, and doing things unorthodox. So when I started organizing with him, underneath him, side by side, whatever, we created a lot of things. And he challenged me a lot on, going back to my rapping and odd meter timing, just doing things more unorthodox that are not necessarily typical of the hip hop per se vibration. He was just one to always light that up. So I appreciate him, his energy. I still feel him. We still organize under that same banner, that legacy. There's a lot that we incorporate that I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit, but there's many tenets that we have that we keep that fire going. We still train people the same way he trained me, musicians, people who want to be teaching artists, or people who want to go and do something a little above and beyond. We don't like to call it until it is what it is. So we do the work and then it shows up, and then, some people vibe with it and it transforms, or it just breaks things up. Whatever needs to happen from it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Yeah, totally. So I guess, I'm already envisioning that down the line we should just do a Fred Ho episode and get into him.
Right.
Just because there's a whole, his Afro-Asian ensemble is some of the deepest shit I think I've ever heard.
Right.
It's just, he really drew some deep seeds where he was coming from musically. But I guess since we got you on and this is the first time, let's talk about the actual work going into the system. How'd you get involved? What's your what's your thing? So.
Yeah, so I'm from the South Bronx. Born and raised New York, the whole life, traveled, been around many places. Obviously, hip hop touches us all. Unfortunately, you can't walk a block without seeing the pigs or police anywhere. You can't be out there without getting touched by that too, the same way you get touched by the music. So you know, I have my little run-ins like many people, you know, never did hard time, but definitely was in and out through bookings and just like petty stuff, you know. But always had a conscious mind of organizing and doing things. I remember when we was out there doing protests against the Rockefeller drug laws, and trying to find a way where music or culture, hip hop could like find this before intersectionality became a thing. You know, like we were like, you know, what can we do? Like the anti-war movement. I was out there doing stuff with Palestine, but always trying to figure out like how our issues or how our pandemics can be also highlighted in these larger spaces of dealing with injustice, you know, just really like going throughout the world, doing things on an eco tip, you know, eco-socialism and all that stuff, which Fred also highlights and talks about. But, you know, noticing that there was a deficit in our narratives, our stories, our legacy, really, you know, who we are as a people in these larger frameworks. And I've noticed that people weren't talking about the mass killings of our young people, you know, when the mass incarceration movement was a thing, like people weren't really talking about political prisoners in the same context of a genocide or of something that we need to pay attention to the toxicity of capitalism. So, you know, like I like to do practical things. You know, we do praxis, so it's not just about like reading and organizing in that manner, but like actually being on the ground and doing the work. So I was privileged to work with organizations that had a foot on the inside. Art Start was one where I had a more critical role working with young people who were in alternative to incarceration programs, also going in. I was with cases, Lower Manhattan, working with young teens, working with people, Crossroads, Dobbs Ferry, New York. Like I've been doing a lot of the group home scene, like early on, and I think that scene kind of led me deeper into, you know, places like Rikers, Sing Sing. Currently, I'm doing a lot of international prison work in Belgium, Berlin. We're doing a lot of re-entry programs that are like not really so successful here, but taking the same models and bringing them abroad and actually finding much success because some of the governments are a bit more open to what it is to have a civil society in theory and in trying to have a practice, you know. So yeah, I've been blessed to work with many organizations. Music Can Be is another organization, Carnegie Hall. But yeah, just doing things. Always working with the young people first and foremost. You know, that's my calling. That's always been my heart since I feel like even like 17, 18, I was working with like third graders and little young people, teaching them music theory, teaching them how to rap. But then I found myself more in that stage after like obviously learning about Malcolm X and who we are as a people and having more of a purpose and intention of being, you know, on the inside, and also connecting that to like, you know, Fred Hampton, George Jackson, like the larger conversation of the struggle of our people. So I always take that opportunity wherever I go, whether people understand the language or not. I always talk about freedom and what we need to do and how these systems, these ecosystems of toxicity are there for certain people's benefit. So I highlight that, you know, in our work. But yeah, you know, I try to just go there through music, create, record. You know, we bring recordings, equipment, get their voices where we can, right? Because in Sing Sing, we can't do that. And more max facilities in certain places don't allow us to bring certain equipment. So we have to do like the pen, paper, you know, vibration, but still, we still get the vibe across.
Ashe. Ashe. So I would say Dorian and I were working in Rikers, and I think one of our biggest struggles was working alongside folks who are heavily impacted by the war, heavily impacted by like real seven neighborhood issues. Like they are currently incarcerated, but leaving behind a family, losing their homes, losing loved ones, and still very much trying to process themselves as an individual, find themselves. How did you find balance for yourself as an artist to be able to like mentally stay well, but to be able to do the work, be effective?
Yeah, oof, I appreciate that question. I think I'm still struggling to find that balance. It does something to you, right? Like, being on the inside it's hard. Especially we were in there when we were at the highlight of our time. We were doing programming through Friends of the Island Academy. They had this moment where they had a whole bunch of organizations come in. And we picked up on a lot of that work. I mean, we were in there like four times a week, sometimes 5 times a week. We brought so many musicians in. And I actually think, I don't know if this is for real, I would love to see a track record, but I think we broke the code of bringing the most international people in there, and they stopped our clearance list because we it was one moment we were able to bring in mad people like no problem. And we brought in like cats from the Netherlands, from Germany, from Belgium, all these young Black and brown artists to come in to meet people. People were like, oh, word, y'all speaking, what is that, Flemish? Y'all rapping? What's going on here? And people were having mad fun. And then all of a sudden they were like tight on the clearance, like, yeah, nah, you can't. We need people who actually live here. It's like, that wasn't, we had passports, it was fine, not a problem. And now all of a sudden, like, there was so many different, layers of restriction, that came on after. But anyway, that was a whole nother situation.
That's the situation. Me and Dorian are definitely in that cosmos, so we feel you on that.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Because I'm like,
that too.
I was like, is it me? Like, we were bringing in bad people, but then what happened with us, and the reason why I'm saying this is because it was easier to get when they hired us. We hired a village, right? We brought in mad people, and it was easier for us to deal with it mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, to have so much support, so many artists that we train and work with, obviously carefully, but they brought and they lent their talents, right? So we were just facilitating a process of having this flow of inside, outside, inside, outside, outside, inside. And even the young people who were formerly in the system, we employed them, what I'm saying, and had them figure a way to like come inside as well. We were having this whole process, and we wanted like people with music Cambia as well, like who were trained musicians coming from Sing Sing, bringing them home to get a job. We had like a whole plan of how to have a real broader reentry network. And I say that to say, because once they limit our clearance, the stress came on like me and like a few other mentors and teaching artists, that it was really harder to navigate. We were in there 4 or 5 times a week, and we had to maintain the programs, what I'm saying? So sometimes what it is, like you going out there and you waiting for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you find out you can't go in to see your young people or the people because there's a lockdown or whatever. So like that constantly took a toll on us traveling out, being rejected or them like saying, yo, we can't bring your equipment in one day,
Hey, come on, Spirit.
Oh, did y'all lose me?
We definitely here with you. Come on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like, we up there stacked up, and the young people are ready, and we got our equipment, and they're like, yo, you can't bring a microphone in here. What? Like, you can't bring in those golf pencils. And we like, what? We have, this is all ready to go. So like the mental,
oh my God,
the capacity was like off the chain, right? Because it was not just you going in there working, having to deal and navigate the system with the COs and whatever, but you also had to navigate other bullshit that you was just like, yo, I'm here to put the work in. we came all the way out here. We got a crew. Are you telling me that half of us can go in, half of our equipment can go in? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just didn't make any sense. So we had to practice and tell people as we went along, like, like take your showers, when you got home, like have water, right? Like I was blessed because I'm on Staten Island right now. And I was blessed, even though I had a 2 hours, sometimes 2.5 hour commute or whatever, like I travel over water, so I take the ferry going and coming back. So for me, ancestrally, spiritually, I was able to channel the water every time I went in and every time I came back. So that for me, the mental health was like balance of like, I'm like, yo, Ochunya, my y'all bless me because I got to deal with all this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to bring that all in. So I felt good about that. A lot of our other artists definitely were impacted. It was stressful, especially the women as well. They were trying to navigate how to be present and how to deal with the contradictions of, they there to do some work, but obviously they getting hit on, you know what I'm saying? So like, it is like they feel something like it's a mixed feeling, of like, you want to do this work, but then it's like you're being objectified and then you have to have the patience of that objectification. It's like a whole bunch of stuff that we had to process and go through. Yeah, I love that question. I mean, we still try to figure out how to maintain it. This is what, like some of the work that I do now, with sex and intimacy coaching really lends to that same category, right? Like how do we somatically, physically connect with our bodies, be present, take care of ourselves. And I'm talking on a deeper level, right? Like how do we deal with the trauma and that kind of oppression that we have genetically and little by little, like therapeutically, whether it's through the music or just being with each other, right? Because sometimes we didn't have the music. And just listening to each other, being connected with each other, being able to actively listen to each other, helped all of us. The more we were able to really comprehend the stories and the narratives that our young people and even the adults were rocking and kicking, the easier it was for us to do the work. And a lot of times, like we would see a lot of our young people out in the street, and we see them and they tell us, they'd be like, yo, like when y'all been here, like I feel like I don't really hear the gates, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't hear nothing else. I just feel like I'm connected. I'm able to record my song. I'm able to talk about my grandma. I'm able to like build, and that does a lot for our mental health. It makes us feel like at least somebody cares and appreciates the work that we doing. So we just, whatever barriers we had, that was nothing compared to the amount of love that we got from the people when we did overcome those barriers of getting inside. You know what I'm saying? Like once we were in there, we knew everything was good and it just brought so much joy each and every day, even if it's one or two kids, so whatever.
One thing you just brought up about just like getting equipment and how like all of a sudden you'll just have some asshole CO like just decide that, your speaker can come in, but the power strip can't. And it's like, I can't use the speaker without the fucking power. Like it's like, and it's like, well, I see the speakers on the clearance, but I don't see the power strip on the clearance. And it's like, they're together. It's like that's like being like, oh, you can drive your car in, but no keys. I don't see any keys. Right. It's just like, yeah. That would. Oh, go ahead.
Argue with the correction officer about the power cord to the Beats pill speaker, and she told me that I could not bring the wire in because it didn't say Apple wire. And I'm like, you do know that Beats pills are Apple products. And she's like, I need a wire that says Beats on it. And I'm like, it's going to be the same thing, even if it says Beats on it. But okay. Wow. So definitely that. But I think that there's a larger issue there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you're aware, but Dorian and I were terminated from a position as arts as arts teachers, teaching artists and Rikers for some of the same things that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
We were giving a lot of pushback on the quality and efficacy of programming. We were thinking outside of the bars in terms of wanting to bring facilitators. And it was really Juneteenth that put the nail in the coffin. We were like, we don't understand, Black History Month came and went. We didn't do anything for it. And these are folks who are in a position where they really need to know their history. They really need to be in touch with that. And we just got no support. And so in the 9th hour, I think folks were checking the box to say that they did. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I think everything there is like bureaucratic. So it was really just about not getting an EEO suit. But we were given no support to really pull through and make some things happen. And it had been that our entire tenure there. Like, we're hired to do music, like teach music. Same thing. We kind of developed a program similar to the one that you're speaking of, where we're doing ciphers with young people, with folks in custody. We are writing music with them. Dorian had the pleasure of bringing in Music Cambia, and we had a list of other outside folks. Like I had a whole rap battle planned with Math Hoffa, with Goods the Animal, with all of these battle rappers from the 7 neighborhoods who can really relate to the folks who are in custody. Mm-hmm. And we submitted a proposal 2 months in advance. And we got no feedback until a week before Juneteenth. And it was like, you could just do something in the unit and we're on vacation. So we don't know, how you're going to get folks in. Maybe we need to save that for something else. And it just completely diminished the process. And mind you, folks in custody who are used to people promising them things and who really worked hard towards having some content to share, we're devastated, right? So where do you put that? On the one end, it's like, I done put all this planning and thought and creative energy into this process to make it something real for people who are constantly being disappointed, who are in the lowest places of their life. We just want to shine a little sunshine in here. It's not going to change the situation, but it'll definitely help folks reimagine their possibilities and their next steps.
Yeah.
And then balancing, having to tell folks sorry, they said no. And live in your powerlessness. So it was a lot of that, it was a lot of, we had DOC approved MP3 players, all of us, when the numbers were up and the people were receptive to our programming, oh, you can't use the MP3 players. I'm like, how? They have freaking radios in the facilities. How is it that my little tiny MP3 player is a threat?
Right.
And I feel like I got enough sauce to make sure that nobody's going to take it. But if they do, let's deal with that when we get there, just like we deal with anything else when we get there. How do you perceive? And for me as a woman of color and the only woman of color on my team, I was offended by a lot of it. You know what I mean? To say that my people can't contain themselves enough to operate an MP3 player is a nonsense. Do you think that folks were outside just not using electronic devices or snatching electronic devices? Same thing down to how they told us to dress. They were telling us come to work in all Black. I'm a fashion designer as well. So I like to dress. I like to look creative. And us as a people, that's a part of our culture. And so coming in, looking a certain way, ascribing to urban fashion kind of brings a piece of the community inside in a way that folks don't understand. It kind of scaves off the surface of a little bit of that trauma of seeing each other in tans all day, right? And so they not only attacked my dress, but just kind of tried to strip me of all my tools and told me to go in and bang on tables. And colors that I was wearing was inappropriate. And I'm like, I got on a lime green shirt. I'm sure folks walk past lime green shirts every day and aren't attacking people for it. What affiliation does lime green have to any gang anyway? And so it was a lot of those conversations. It was very exhausting. And oftentimes Dorian and I would talk because I think for us, the best way to process just what we were doing was to just really sit and unpack everything that we took on that day privately, just between us, share some stories, and then find something positive in it so that we could go home and then be family people. And sometimes that was through music, and sometimes that was through just like talking, shooting the shit. Sometimes it was through meditation. Like, we definitely had to be creative in how we process those things. But we always agreed that, like, it wasn't the folks in custody. It wasn't even the officers. It wasn't even being locked in prison in jail for 6 hours of our day. It was the bureaucracy. It was the disrespect of the. It was the assumptions, it was the microaggressions, and it was just another system that no matter how you try to infiltrate it, was just so gun-ho set on breaking Black and brown people. And so I think towards the end of our time there, for me anyway, it became such a struggle to work, because I felt like, yeah, I was doing great work. Yeah, the folks loved it. But I had to think about the hundreds of thousands of people that I just wasn't going to touch. And I had to walk in those hallways and see people being sprayed and be just like so apologetic and still pick myself up to go into a unit and do music. And I just realized that, like, I just couldn't. I would rather do it from another place. I would rather do it from another place. So when they terminated me, and I mean, I'm sorry to go off tangent, but I think these are stories that have to be told too. When I went to my meeting in HR, the night before I had prayed, and I'm just like, to the universe, like, if this is not for me, remove me. Cause I'm just so drained at this point. Like, I'm crying every day. I'm just so exhausted. And then the next day I went into work and they kind of just pushed me in a meeting with HR and was like, we don't need you anymore. And it was after Dorian and I had a conversation about them not supporting us in Juneteenth. And when I went to HR, I was like, thank you so much. And the guy was like, thank you. And I said, yeah, because I think working here taught me my power. And I know that I don't have to be here to do this work. And I can be more impactful and do it in a way that uplifts my people and values my people than to be here and be trying to navigate a system that is just demeaning them. So thank you. And the guy was like, dang, we never had that before. I'm like, yeah, this was a horrible experience. And so it felt good to just walk away. And I think that's how Maderi music kind of blossomed. Is because we kind of use the energy from that to create a platform where, one, people who are doing this work can learn how to be professionals, can get some wisdom, can get some material, right? But also to bring to the forefront all the folks who are doing this work too, and kind of collectively gather their experiences so we know what we need to do next as a unit. It's like a form of solidarity. And to me, that is a lot more impactful. I still write letters to some of the folks that I was working with inside. And I tell them about the podcast, and they're just happy that their stories are being told. They're happy that somewhere out in the world, somebody's still thinking about them, still talking about them, and still kind of fighting the fight in their honor. Dorian, you wanted to say something?
Oh yeah. It just the thing that Rikers Island taught me is that whenever you hear like, oh, they won't let this in, it's like, it's not they, it's usually like a specific person who's just being an asshole. Like, because, with the bureaucracy of it, like when we really were in the system, we learned, like, it was like, wait a second, like, I know who said no, and they don't have to say no. Like, it's like, they just chose it for some arbitrary reason. Like, and then they're like doubling down when I asked like the validity of it. Like one time, like, I was told not to bring an MP3 player. And then it was like, well, maybe we could try something like, like we could do like a drum circle. And it's like, all right. So if we're saying that the reason is that these people are so violent and so like uncontrollable, you're telling me that a drum circle is safer than an MP3 player? Like, they hadn't fucking thought it through. Like they hadn't thought through what their thought process was. They just wanted to say no because they to be honest, I think they didn't like that I was playing the preferential music of the folks. So we were listening to lots of Brooklyn drill. Like it's all 19 to 25 year olds, you know, and like from Brooklyn and Bronx and Queens and you know, Harlem. And it's like, it's literally like, it's like, yeah, this is the music that they listen to. This is the truth. Like this is the stories of the precise experiences of living where these folks live. Like there's a lot of therapeutic benefit. Like there was just all these reasons for it. And I literally think that they were, you know, lining up with sort of the Eric Adams, like fascist approach to analyzing Brooklyn drill is just, you know, there's these fucking wild savages that can't control themselves. And it's just promoting violence to, you know, to murder white people. Like, it, you know, is really the fear that they're trying to put out there. But it was so ridiculous. Just kind of seeing it firsthand, it was like, wait a fucking second. Like, it's not even like the system's not even like attacking me right now. It's like, it's this person and this person, and it's all ego driven. And it just like, the thing that's so offensive to it is that it literally, you know, this kind of, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, Spirit, because you do this. You know, there's kind of like the dichotomy of navigating these spaces where there's the concept of what we're striving for, which is an anti-imperialist, anti-colonial project, you know. But then there's also the current structure of capitalism and prison industrial complex that as an individual you're not going to destroy it, you know, like you can chisel, but so I found like the dichotomy of it is so bizarre because, you know, in one section I think all prisons should be abolished, you know, like that's just what we need to do. Okay. However, in the system as it is, we also need to be working on ending recidivism. And that was my entire goal always with every group. It was about developing navigation skills. It was like, if you continue upstate, like, how are you going to get through it? If you go back out into your community, like, how are you going to get through it? Like, how can you make it so you don't come back here? And that shit was, you know, was just too offensive for the people above us. But yeah, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of that.
Yeah, that's a great, that's great. You know, like what working on the inside. And I will say, you know, it's interesting because we had this idea, right? Before going in, you know, coming from the spirit of the Panthers, the Young Lords.
Hey,
yeah, LA and all that, right? So we were like, man, fuck the police, fuck the pig, we ain't talking to nobody, you know? And then, you know, when you in there, right? Like you talking to CO. Like you talking. You like,
hey,
could you hit up such and such? Because they supposed to be up in my workshop. And actually the allies that we found in these unprecedented places was shocking to me because to attest to what you're saying, 90% of our success, if not more, was because of some of the COs allowing us to actually go in and do our goddamn work. You know, like, because if it wasn't for them letting us through the door, unfortunately, them having the key to let us through the door, we wouldn't be able to do the work. And we found like, yo, there was some COs who wanted to rap in our workshops. Like, we got mad support. Like, we had people, there was a lot of cats on the inside who were like, yo, son, you need to come to this program. Like, get up. Like, they would recruit people. They would, as soon as they saw us through the door, they were happy. They made it very conducive for us to do our workshops. So there was places and spaces like GMDC before they shut that down. We had the most love because it was supposedly like, you know, a 5-top, like on a, you know, the more like, oh, you going to 5-top, oh my God. But then when they saw how we were able to like rock and beat, they're like, yo, they kept throwing us out there. They were like, can y'all come every day? Like, we want you to tame the fire that's happening here. They were like, yeah, that's what this is. Those who knew, right? And Rosie's, they also gave us some love, but in RNDC, like we would get like, it'd just be weird. It'd be mixed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, I think they had a different batch or whatever, but there was a lot of cats who understood and knew us, call us out by name and be like, oh yeah, y'all the urban RP cats. Yeah, let them through. And sometimes not even looking straight on the clearance, you know what I'm saying, like that. So we did have a lot. I want to say that as well. In saying this, you know, in working with the Panthers, and I remember we had an event in our house. We do like these monthly soul sessions. And we were chilling and we were talking about a few organizations that I won't shed no light to because, you know, I always try to shed love to people. But some organizations that weren't really holding up to par in accordance to when they talk about revolution, right? So I was talking to Brother Shep, you know, he was hanging out, Brother Shep, Tariq, and a few other Panthers. And he's like, you know, Spirit, this is around the time he was at Rikers. And I asked the same kind of question about like how, you know, how do people feel, you know what I'm saying, like within the movement to abolish. And I'm all about that, right? Like I rock with critical resistance. I rock with a lot of organizations that are abolitionists and you know, I'm a Maroon. So like just inherently, I'm an abolitionist. Like that's what it is, like abolishing shit, you know? And at that time, like I was talking to Shep, and Shep was like, you know, one thing the Panthers always did was any real revolutionary organization, just look around and see what programs they have.
Ashe.
Right? If you ain't got no programs, if you ain't got no place for the people to come to, or for you to go to the people, if you ain't have no outlet to outreach and build with the people, then you're not a revolutionary formation. And you have to be where the people are. I don't give a damn if you disagree with the fact that we got a whole bunch of white shirts, you know, these captains and all that stuff, and you have to build with them so that you can do some hip hop. If that is your particular positioning of power that you can actually navigate to work with our young people, then so be it. That's just the role that we're gonna have to figure out how to play. I don't see it as partaking in a process of reform. I see it in a way of outreaching. You know, like you know, George Jackson was doing his work on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever it means as being a cadre, if you're planted in any position in the world, you should be able to organize, right? So like, what we did when we were in there, we weren't just doing music programming. We were trying to find the next cats to come and recruit them to our party. You know what I'm saying? Like we were like, yo, who's gonna roll with us? You know, like who's gonna be the next facilitator / organizer to take this on, right? So for us, it was a no-brainer to be on the inside, to work on the inside, to do whatever we had to do, as long as it didn't sacrifice our values. And we never censored our young people. You know, a lot of times we got a lot of slack for people just like, you know, exactly what you're saying, like the type of music, the energy, it's violent. Shouldn't we do this? It's like, we don't tell people how to write and what to say, you know? Right. So we're not here for that, you know, and they respect that because they saw them being productive in that particular way. So for us, it was never a this or that. It was like, you do this in order to achieve that, right? Like in order to reach this level of abolition, like we're talking about, and like you mentioned, Dorian, you're saying like, it's not only navigating how to not go back in, it's also navigating how to find your support systems, your ecosystems of support, but also training those ecosystems of support to continue to support you. So a lot of times the people that are going inside, they're not necessarily our allies either. You know, so a lot of people who are working in Rikers, some of them are just going there to get a paycheck. They're not going there to uplift and to abolish the system. But that should be the revolutionary consciousness of everybody who goes in, but that's not. So we got to also not just train our young people, we got to train the people who are working with our young people, the people who are signing these checks, the admin people, to understand that even though we can't abolish everything right now, it don't mean that can't be our goal and our mind. And we need to know who's on that like mind, you know? So we have to show the young people where to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got, like, roll with this cat. They're not going to like penalize you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to work with you. You know, so we have to also understand that as well. So being on the inside is a really a special place, you know, for those who can stomach it, for those who can deal with it mentally and physically and everything else. Is a very special place to navigate because you can influence a culture, right?
Gotcha.
Like you can influence a culture. And I've seen the power of ciphering, right? Of having COs come in, watching the young people rock and be like, yeah, I don't know how to rap. And then them start doing that. It looked like a barbecue. It looked like a barbecue. And I'm like, yo, we out here hanging out with Uncle.
We on the block.
You know, we on the block. We just chilling. We hanging. Everyone's chill. You know what I'm saying? And like that vibe, that support, that energy stays with people. You know, and even though you could be there once a month, you know, whatever the work that y'all did and the work that we're doing and we've done, that stays with people. You know what I'm saying? Like people still call me. Like they have the number, they still call. I get random emails once in a while. People remember, especially during that age, you know, so people don't forget. I've even had conversations with cats. I think they stopped it since, but they were trying to do an online program. And I was part of like doing and creating an online curriculum through this, I don't know, ADP, some kind of website, weird cryptic thing. But we were able to do music plans during this. And the thing about the rules that you're talking about, yo, I've been trying to get cats in Europe and here to do online digital programming. Like there's no reason why our people don't have access to that kind of digital program. There's a reason for that. Somebody's saying no for right. They have tablets and they take it away. Like it's like, yo, you can get the knowledge, you can get the research. Why are you not allowing our people to be connected?
So get this. One of the last things that happened to Dee and I was we were literally told we had no access, or we had to just wait a little bit, you know, before we could have access to the tablets. It was getting to like 5 months, nearing 6 months. We had no access. There was no reason for it. Other people had access. When we talked to the tablet people, they were like, yeah, you should have access. Like, who's saying you shouldn't? And it was the same people who were saying that, you know, no MP3 player, all that shit.
Okay.
But anyways, one of the tech guys, you know, just gave us access. He didn't like know where to like put us. Like he didn't, you know, give us a place to make our own channel, but he just gave us access to another channel that was already on there. So we just started putting beats on, like, because we had actually been on the fucking ground and we're learning, like, listen, like I fucking love KRS-One and I love Wu-Tang Clan and all that shit. But like those beats don't resonate with the youth the same way. Like they just don't. And so we were putting on like really, you know, culturally relevant beats. We were like, you know, like let's say 808 drops a new beat, like I download it and put it on. So like it was like, yeah, the beat that just dropped, like, you know, on SoundCloud, like that's on there now. Anyways, they took us off.
So wait, before
yeah.
So the entire jail, including VCBC, was tuned into this channel. We had over 20,000 hits on songs. Wow. And like we had young people. There was this young person who was like always fighting and slashing or whatever. They brought like a opposing gang member in the facility, and he was like, you know what, Ms. D? I'm going to lock in because you put all these beats on here. So I'm about to lock in and write for a few days so that until they move him elsewhere. Like it had that much power. Go ahead, Dorian. I'm gonna let you finish.
No, that was the thing. Like we were getting more hits. Like you can literally look at all the stats, and it was an abnormally large amount of hits. And it was like, it was just so offensive because it was like, y'all, like we can literally engage these folks 24 hours a day. Like, you know, we don't just have to see that, like we'll be in person for an hour a week, but like we'll have that, you know, like we can engage them constantly. And like the whole, so this is like totally anecdotal. It's not like a real statistic, but the way I think about it, you know, there's like the collective space and then there's the individual space. And the collective space is something that we're like always working on, you know, chiseling away and shaping and moving and all of that. But then there's the individual space, which is the individual participant, you know, the individual community member that you're working with. And the made up number that I kind of utilize is in like a behavioral health sense. Most of the time, 98% of the time, this is what it's like. But then there's this 2% area where the emotions are so stunted and like they don't know how to navigate when emotional feelings arise. And it'll be that 2% area where they go and will commit something heinous, or they'll do something so over the top. But then the part that never ever gets talked about is the amount of regret, like moments later. Like I saw dudes get into like crazy fights, like right in front of me. And then, you know, like next time I see it, like, you know, dude that like started it was like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Like, and it's like, all right, so like what we got to work on, like for this individual situation is like, when that comes up, like, how do you notice it's happening and how do you let it die away? Because it, you know, that 2%, of I'll call it like a behavior rush or an anger rush, like that does not define who the human being is. But it's that's the 2% area that society focuses on, and that's what we're manipulated into thinking that is just who these people are, you know, 100% of the time. And it's just it's really, really offensive because you know, most people are not sociopaths. Most people feel emotions. And even when you cross a line, people will go, oh my God, I shouldn't have crossed that line. Like I can't believe that happened. And it just, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm fucking saying, but, but yeah.
Well, I hear you. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing about the culture, you know, like I think, when it comes to training people to be there. I mean, we were really diligent on how to train people to be on the island. Like, you know, we were training people in transformative justice, like, you know, also just being mindful of their possessions or like their stigmas and like their prejudices that when they come in, right? We're human. We all have certain things, so it's good to bring it out and talk about it. So like in our trainings, we would talk about that and like, how does each person like represent like a culture, right? Like, you know, we're not talking about your cases or the reason why you're here, you know, and people could feel that, you know, people could feel that if you're looking at them like they're about to fuck up, then Cass will probably be ready to fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're looking at people like you expect them to like, you know, be productive in this space and be the divine energy being of creativity that they are riled up to be in this particular moment, then they're going to give you something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how are you coaching the culture of that particular space? You know, and we emphasize that a lot. It was never about how many songs we could pump out, you know, because there's so much talent. It was always about like, I mean, also we taught people, right? Like, how do you record your man? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you help your man? Like, while you waiting to get into the quote unquote booth, how can you like coach your other, you know, comrade or your other MC fellow group member to like, you know, get to where their bars are so they're not slipping because they only have 15 minutes to record each person. So it's got to be tight, you know? So like, you know, how could you get people to like get that vibe and just creating a different type of culture, you know? And yeah, like, you know, to me, it just speaks to just like how we're just fixated on a culture of penalization, of like, you know, emphasizing, you know, you're wrong, you know, just judgment, so much judgment. So yeah, that 2% becomes everything, you know, becomes everything because we focus on the negative, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's easier to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's why, I think obviously we all know it's by design. We all know, like those who are listening, you know, y'all know, you know, the system is not designed to help or set up people. I just think these conversations are helpful to show that it's not as far off as people think. It really is like right there. It really is sometimes the shifting the culture of that one CO who is holding the gate to let you in, to allow those iPods or MP3 players to come in or not, that will affect the energy and vibration of the whole people that are there for that day, right? That could also change their week, their outlook, their look on their time that they're spending. There's so many things that happens, and it starts with that, right? So yeah, like there are ways. It's not for nothing, is what I'm saying. Like anything that's being done is definitely getting looked at by all sides.
So I know we've crossed the hour mark, and I know you got stuff to do today. But if I could just ask one like kind of question for you, and first off, it's been awesome having you on. Like I've respected your work from afar for a long time, and it's been really good to get to know each other get to, just, it's funny when you start to pick up on folks, like you end up realizing you're at all the same events kind of thing. It's like, oh, hey.
Right. Yeah. See you again.
Yeah.
What up?
Yeah. But if I could ask, like, what is your process when you go into the space? Because I've got outside observation, but I'm curious, like, what is your like mental space when you enter, into a room filled with people in custody?
Yeah, that's dope. It shifts, but like generally, definitely something that we train our people to think about is is always leave anything and everything as much as you can before you hit the door. You know what I'm saying? So there's several gates. So you got enough moment to, like, if you just broke up with somebody, if you like just pissed off because somebody stepped on you or like cut you off or whatever it is that happened, whatever you got going on in your mind, clear it. That's the first step. The first step is try to be a blank slate as much as humanly possible. And that helps me because then I become like, I'm just a conduit, right? Like I'm just an energy moving, bouncing around in the space. Obviously sensitive to what's already happening. So the first thing is ciphering up, like circle up and checking in and attuning with everybody, making sure that we all know what we're going to be here doing for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, right? And then having, whether it's verbal, whether it's something we already stated, but just going over like our community agreements, like what are we rocking with, what we not rocking with, but mostly what are we rocking with, what are we here to accomplish? And then checking in with everybody's expectations and seeing how can we divvy up that time to meet the community's expectations, if that's possible. If it's not possible, and we see cats do this from the very jump, it doesn't look like I'm going to have time to record today. You know what? Like, I'm not ready anyway, so I'm going to give my time to such and such so they can have 20 minutes instead of 15, and you don't got to break it up like that. I'm going to just keep writing for today. You know what I'm saying? So that cats have ownership, and they not like, because anything you get taken off surprise, like just flip it, just being like, yo, like I have my time, such and such, like, just antsy, just like you're taking too long on the beat machine or whatever it is. Just making sure everybody knows they have something to be done. And once that's done, just vibing. Like sometimes it's a cipher, and sometimes a cipher is no words. It's just a vibe of just like, just kind of like being instruments, playing games, icebreakers. And then we break out and let people just have their space, and what that allows me to do is be available for as many people, right? Like 15, 20, or 10, if it's 5, even better, right? Like be available for as many people as I can, and knowing who can navigate, right? Because I'm always like, as a facilitator, I'm always watching to see who's gonna help me lead this. Like, there's no way I'm going inside. I'm thinking I'm gonna manage the space by myself. I'm like, who's the cat that is the loudest? That's gonna help me rally up the crew, right? Because you're gonna be my co-facilitator. And who's the okay? You the timekeeper, you the manager, all right? Because you don't want to write, you just want to make some noise. But you're gonna manage, you're gonna be the artist developer. You know, like, I give roles to those, especially those who don't want a role or don't have a role. I'd be like, all right, cool. I know what your role is gonna be. And that's usually it allows me peace of mind to just be present for as many people as possible. You know, I don't have to play the moderator. I don't have to play the mediator. I don't have to play the inspirer. Like, there's a coach there for that. You know, there's somebody there to hype you up. There's somebody there to, like, produce you, quote unquote. So, like, we just play these roles, you know, and have like a little microcosm of like whatever world we want, right? Like, we don't have to be one big group. Like, we ain't all Wu-Tang, you know. However, we in a space like that, you know, because we got to make it work. So we all a team, at least for this time, and we can figure out how to have our time, but we need our individual time. So that gives me peace of mind. And usually, like, I mean, I'm pretty rooted spiritually, you know, like, if it's really intense, if I feel energy really high, a lot of times, usually for a first time, not every time, we'll do like a libation circle, you know. We'll talk about something deep and just shed some love, light, you know, imaginary water to the people who aren't here, you know, acknowledging that all of us have lost somebody, like whatever it is that can connect and, again, attune us to each other and to the purpose of that time. You know, the energy might be really low, so we just like, fuck the agenda. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cass just want to freestyle. You don't want to do anything in particular, you know. But just reading the room, you know what I mean? That's been really helpful over the years. Just read the room, have my bag, but like not really, not be in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just look around it and be like, okay, cool, that's cute. I got this toy, that toy, but I'm not going to be too engulfed in that bag. You know, I'm going to know I have it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. If that helps, that answers your question, kind of.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's confirmation for Dorian and I too. Like, we always say when we're like teaching or lecturing about this work that, like, we let the space lead itself. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's a way of validating the participants too. It's like, you know, this is your show. You know, thank you for, and also just being humble in that this is their temporary home. Like, thank you for inviting me into your house.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Don't just somebody's house and pull up a chair at the table and start orchestrating dinner. Like, you gotta be humble, thankful, and just go with the flow. So I think that's most important in this work. It's okay to be intentional. You should, as a facilitator, but you should also be flexible.
Yep.
And the flexibility is where magic happens anyway, which that's what we always want to create, is the magic.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, Spirit, we love you, man.
Love y'all too. I'm sorry it took like a minute, but we here, we did it.
No, it's the universe, everything in its divine order, you know. Right. So thank you to the universe for bringing us together. Dorian was talking about you the whole time we were in Rikers. Like, I definitely here, like, he is all the way submersed in your work.
Oh, right.
So I want to thank you for your work. Yeah, first and foremost. But the universe always lines things up. So Dorian must have been manifesting you from like January to June. And then we had Curb Fest. And I'm like, yeah, Spiritchild is going to be DJ. And he's like, I know him. Like, you know, whatever. So everything happened and it's in the right timing. So we just look forward to continuing to see you in the movement. Mm-hmm. Look forward definitely to doing some work with you. We got to do some sessions together.
Yeah.
Because that's Dorian and I, that's our other arm. It's like we are building our, you know, capacity in that way to go out into organizations outside and still work with folk. And yeah, like keep being dope and keep like letting the ancestors lead you.
Right on, right on. Yeah, thanks. And just for the people, whomever, we are doing this. We always do summer camps. We've been doing them for a while. We've done a few in Harlem, and throughout New York. But definitely we've done a few out in Europe, and it inspired us to actually do one in 2023 in the summer in Loíza, Borinquen. So my family, I have Boricua, Puerto Rican, Jamaican, Gullah Geechee from the South ancestry. So we're gonna do something in one of my places, Loíza, Puerto Rico, where it's a Maroon community. You know what I'm saying? It's like where the Africans were actually at and build sustainable places and autonomous places of resistance, just like in Jamaica and certain places. So we want to highlight not only the beautiful culture that's in Loíza, but the art. So we're going to be working with young people, hopefully exclusively women, if not those identifying as women, but at least majority women, offering self-defense, offering art, but also just like listening, sharing, doing like a culture exchange. So that's the extension of our work as well, And when we do that work, we share the stories like y'all, of our people everywhere, whether you've been inside, held, whatever, temporarily, you there for a minute, whatever the case is, we recorded you, we work with you. We always share those particular stories and let other young people know too. So we're excited to like go to this part of the world and continue our work in that aspect, working with young people. So if you're listening and you're from some other country, some other place, and you want to know how to bring these kind of programs or vibrations and energy, just holla, let us know.
Holla. Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna, I guess afterwards, connect you also with Holla, because we have been doing a lot of legacy tours and projects. We just was in Chicago with Fred Hampton Jr.
Oh, word. Okay.
Oh my God, it was dope. We were in a circle with him and some young people in the community, so that was dope.
Nice.
And we just been learning more about like the Maroons, about the Gullah Geechee people, about just all the movements in Black liberation. And we too have a cohort. We're ending our 6-month process of a 24-month process of community organizers. So we definitely got to pull you into the space to give some wisdom there.
Wow, okay.
And Dorian sounds like he got another episode for you. So I guess we're going to be soon.
Right on. We could bring some of Fred's, some of his students and some other people that we work with if that works out. See if we can get them on for that as well.
Definitely. We're open to whatever. This is a free space. And while we have everyone on the call and we're about to shut it down, we want to give a big shout out to Turkey. We just recently made number 42 on the list of podcasts in Turkey, which is big because there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts. So thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Turkey. I think that we might need some Turkey. What is it? Turkish artists? What is
Yeah.
Turkish artists on here just to keep it in the family and show love. So thank you for supporting us. And Dorian, it's on you to close us out.
Yeah. So Spirit, where can people find you if they wanna look you up?
Yeah, if you want, I'm around just X Spirit Mental. So X, the letter X, Spirit Mental. That's IG. That's .com. That's all there. So you can find also on Linktree, if you put that X Spirit Mental, you'll find links to like many other works, to the Maroon Party for Liberation, Music, which is the work I do internationally with young people in prison, and Urban Art Beat is the work I do more nationally with our young people anywhere, community centers, wherever. And I'm around, I'm here, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely interested in that 24-month popping in and lending anything that y'all need. I love people organizing. I love developing and creating a like mind and praxis, political education. That is my thing. So anything in that light, you got me. That's my love language. So just holler anytime. I'm here for that.
Ashe.
All right.
And just a reminder that y'all can support us on Patreon. We drop an episode every week, and that really helps us do what we do. We actually are starting to get supporters now, which is exciting. But yeah, we want to stay independent with our editing process. We don't want to ever have advertisers on our program. We really want to live in a world where we don't have to rely on donations from listeners. We want to live in a fucking socialist society where we take care of each other just as a given. But with that said, Dee, you want to end it with our quote from Assata Shakur?
We have a chant that we do in the spirit of Black liberation and Black love. And so I'm going to start and you guys just repeat after me. Cool?
Yeah.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty
to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty
to win.
We must love and support each other.
We must
love and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe.